January 13, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on a 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. It was really choppy, really lot of kind of swings and ups and downs. This is how I drew the chart today. It was kind of a mess. Wasn't the easiest for me to kind of follow. You just had to kind of watch it step by step. There wasn't really any big trading ranges. There was some smaller ranges here and there, and then a bunch of short and trend channels. It took a total of one trade. It was profitable. In hindsight, I don't think it was a very good trade. It was, I think, mediocre. But then throughout the day, I didn't really see that many good, clean setups that I particularly liked. There were some measured moves, but I really couldn't, at least for me, I wasn't able to find any setups that I could use to take advantage of it. So there's also no economic data that came out today. So no economic data to really move the market. It was just kind of a big sideways day. Okay, in the pre-market, it looked like it moved one big leg on this green down channel, broke, tested low, made two attempts up, and then made a second leg down here. I'm going to go ahead and delete this now because it's not really needed. So two legs down, bottoms out, hits this consolidation trading range, then it kind of moves up in this very gradual yellow up channel. It hits the highs, breaks, comes up, tests the high, makes double top, breaks down, breaks the green down channel, tests low, and then kind of consolidates off this, I would say, support area, but not really a trading range just yet. So on the open, price is just moving sideways. I have a new low. It's a first entry short. Pull back. You technically have a second entry short. Second entry short, like the signal bar is this green one right here. Go ahead and zoom in. This is a signal bar for the second entry short. You have a confirmed second entry short after the close of this trigger bar. And this is a setup that's, it is a second entry short. I didn't really like it because it looks like it's part of this yellow up channel. The trigger bar is good that it moved one tick above and then flushed down and closed below the signal bar. So that's a really strong trigger bar, but the setup and context just feel very iffy. Now, there's not really that much room before, if I took a trade here before it hits the EMA, which could be a support. Right now, it's too early to, discount it as being reliable or not. But so I had to treat it as kind of reliable, potential area of bounce. And there was also, I was playing with the idea that maybe there's some kind of consolidation trading range here, but just didn't look clean. So I kind of left it as a support area. So overall it was like an almost trade. I didn't really like it. It hits a new high. It's a first entry long pullback, creates a second entry long, bounce off the support area. So I'm watching this in real time. It also a new low. It's a first entry short pullback, second entry short. Second entry short, it's again hitting the support area. So in real time, this is what I'm seeing. See, this is a new high, first entry long, second entry long, count resets, first entry long pullback, second entry long. Second entry long here technically hasn't failed yet, but it closed at the low. It is breaking through this support area. So this is kind of a support region, not really a line that you should just say this is the line that can't be crossed, but it looks like it's dwelling below. It could still be a support down here, but I kind of like the setup of this candle, but I will admit in hindsight, this is actually a rather mediocre setup because this area is congested, but its justification at the time was new high, first entry long, second entry long. Second entry long is about to fail. So actually it opens here, pushes down, pushes below this signal bar. I enter, it comes up. I also saw I had this transparent channel. I didn't color it in because it ended up not being very reliable, but I did have this as a trend line coming down. And even though it doesn't touch here, it was, for me at the time, kind of close enough. So I said, okay, there's kind of a resistance here. It's getting rejected off of here. I want to take this trade, knowing I had to push below here. But the thing I look back at is this is a riskier trade. I should have tried to go for 2 points. In this case, it worked. And it might have, I probably would have been safe off this candle because it came back down again. So it actually, opened here, pushed down, gave me my 2-point profit target, pushed up close, low, opens here, pushes down. So it would have probably gotten out here. But this is, admittedly, a risky trade. Should have just gone for a 1-point profit target if I was even going for it. And if not, I should have just skipped this completely. Nevertheless, I did take the trade as aggressive. Didn't try for a runner. At least I was smart enough to know about not taking a runner because it likely would have gotten stopped out here. And I was able to get a profit off of it. So this isn't the best trade. I'm not very proud of it. But at the time, I think I was just in the moment trying to convince myself there's a setup here, and I need to be very careful of those type of moments where the setup isn't very clean. This isn't really that great sideways price action. Prices then continue moving up, breaks to the screen, test the high, cuts back down. No real second entry setups that I like. Technically, I have a second entry short here because it's a new low. First entry short, second entry short, but this is kind of an inside bar, far from the EMA. It's just kind of out in the way up high. It did break and test the high, but you don't know that it might come back down and then reverse and create a second leg up. So I did see a bunch of like second entries that today I felt like there was potentially a setup, but I really couldn't quite clearly describe or see what's going on. So I put them with black arrows, as I usually do. The prices come back down. EMA is starting to hold prices now. You have a new high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long, second entry long. This is an inside bar, not even a good signal bar. Bounce off of this developing channel, but not good enough for a trade. Prices move up. It's a new highs. First entry long, pullback, second entry long. Now it's below the EMA. I don't really like this. It's breaking through this potential channel. Comes back down, break of the screen, pushes, makes one attempt down, pushes up. This is where it creates a second entry short. Second entry short, I had a hunch. Again, not contextual wise, it isn't a good trade because it's first entry short, second entry short. It just made a new high. Whether I had this channel going up and I trust it or not, it break, test the high. You could justify by saying, okay, test the high, it should be coming back down. The only other thing going for it really is this is a 6-tick bar, but it's also an inside bar. So as I said, I saw it, I was wondering about it, but I really couldn't justify marking it as a trade or even taking the trade. Prices move down on this orange down channel, break, test the low. Again, there's second entries all over the place, but they're very tiny, very tight trading, very tight setups. What I mean is that it's questionable whether I would have got my 2-point profit target or even 1 point if I was trying to be conservative. Hits a new low, pushes up in this green up channel. Looks like it's one leg, break to a new low, pushes up, and this is creating a second leg. So technically you have a first entry long right here, then a second entry long, but nothing, no setup here. There's nothing, no good context here. Prices move down, pushes up. It's kind of where I see the other setup. So it's pushing up in this green down channel. It's a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Could this be a higher low? Maybe. It's also a new high, first entry long, second entry long. The problem is this is an inside bar technically, and it didn't break above this one. So if this is an inside bar, this could become the new signal bar, and then it flashes up. So there was really, I was sitting on my hands wondering, there is an EMA bounce, but up until this time, the EMA hasn't been super reliable, meaning prices are above it, prices are below it, prices above it, below, above, below, above, below, above, below. So it's just kind of moving sideways. It's not very reliable. It's not really holding strength or holding rejection resistance. So something I saw, just couldn't justify it. Moving on. Prices move up in this yellow up channel. No clean second entries that I particularly like. It's a high, new high, first entry long. You have a second entry long here, but this is a bad signal bar. Context really isn't telling you to go long on this red candle. Prices then move down. Another consolidation area, doji, sideways price action. Pushes down, breaks. It creates a new low, double bottom. So I start the count here. I saw a first entry short, pull back, moves one tick above, and then flushes down, creates a second entry short, all on this candle. So this candle is a simultaneous trigger bar and signal bar. So I saw this and I was thinking, I don't think it's really a safe trade. And here's why. There's an overshoot on this side. You could potentially have an overshoot on this side, but up until this time, prices are starting to look like they're moving sideways. It's a good signal bar and trigger bar, but there's no real room now from here down to this potential low. I actually have the trading range drawn a little higher, so there's no real way to clear out. Plus, I didn't like, for this trade that's now questionable, for me to even consider taking it, I don't like that it moved down to the low and pulled back a couple of ticks. If it closed at the low, maybe, actually it's, yeah, 3 ticks. If it closes at the low, maybe then I see there's some momentum, but you could tell at the very end buyers came in and kind of pushed it back up. So it adds a little bit of ambiguity. So I call it an almost trade. Don't really like it. Price is then clearly moving sideways now. I saw this as a potential another setup that I noticed, but it's very subtle because here's the new low. You have a first entry short. This candle actually doesn't make the bottom, and it creates a second entry short. So it's actually one low. This one's a little bit higher, and then makes a second entry short here. This is the signal bar. There's a follow-up trigger bar. It's being rejected by the EMA at this point. It is moving sideways, so I'm wondering if I'm going to get, because I don't know if this candle is going to pop up. I'm wondering if I'm going to hit this and potentially get stopped out, because this could act as support, and it could also push back up and hit the top of the range. So I'm not really sure what I'm looking at. So definitely, I'm not thinking of taking a trade. So here, let's say I took it at the lows here. I would only be able to go for 1 point scalp, and I'm not sure I would have thought of taking a 1 point scalp. If it was 2, definitely this candle would have stopped me out. But even for a 1 point scalp, it only really moved about well, actually it did move 2 full points, but you're asking for the full 2. So it's just not really a good setup. Prices move up. New high, first entry long. Here it's about to create a second entry long, so it's here, new high, fail breakout, first entry long, pull back. It hasn't made a second entry long yet. Here it creates a second entry long. Second entry long, and I saw it as a higher low from this new low. First entry short, pull back. Second entry short all the way down to here, creates a higher low. Possible trade. Now it's coming from the bottom of the range. It's a pretty good signal bar, engulfed this previous bar. So actually this is a good signal bar for the higher low, and then this is technically the signal bar for the second entry long, and it closed. So this is the trigger bar for the second entry long, signal bar for the higher low. I like it that there's enough room to the highs. It feels a little aggressive though, so I kind of left it alone. It would have worked. Of course, you don't know that this big bar was going to happen. It has this overshoot, comes back down, kind of chopping sideways, and it pushes back up in this yellow up channel. At this point, I look to the right. I'm thinking there's looked like it was choppy. There's clearly a new localized high, one leg down. I'm thinking, could there be a second leg down? That's where this yellow line comes down here. So I'm just kind of sitting on my hands, watching and waiting. So it's from this low, pushes up, first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short, inside bar, doji. I don't like this. Looks like it's kind of a spike and then a clear channel coming down on this orange. But there's no real way to enter. And it finally makes this measured move on this 2 legs. So it looks like it's on a bigger time frame. It's clearly 1 leg, 2 attempts up, and another leg. Made the measured move, but I'm not really necessarily ready to take a reversal yet. I need, something, a good setup to tell me that it's safe to go long. We get a first entry short here. Technically, you have a second entry short. It's a bad signal bar. It's above the EMA. I don't really like this. If there was a higher low, I would consider it. But you don't really get a higher low. Feel about here, and that's too far from the setup. It's not even really associated with the setup anymore. Clearly moving up on this yellow up channel. Prices then continue moving up. So I'm just kind of sitting on my hands and waiting. Creates a new localized high. First entry long. Technically, I have a second entry long. Again, this isn't really a clean setup. I don't really like this. It's doji inside bar. It's just kind of just floating there. It didn't even touch the EMA. The fail breakout that I saw here, I saw 2 legs down. So I'm looking for a clear second entry long or a failed second entry short. Technically, you have a new high here. First entry long, second entry long. So I'm looking for a higher low, but you don't really get that. Technically, you have a higher low, but I didn't like how to pull back this far and below the EMA. Ideally, the higher low would be above the EMA to give me a little more confidence. But then you do have a higher low here. So I saw this as a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Second entry short technically has failed here, but then you get a higher low here. This higher low, it was hard for me to associate with this second entry short failure. And I think I'm in a trading range. At this time of day, I'm thinking I'm in a trading range. Fail breakout here, fail breakout here. Push up. Higher low confirmed here. This could push back down. I did have this trend line drawn as here, and this channel is actually a little bit tighter where this midline is. So it's just, I'm running into potential resistance. It is bouncing off the EMA. It just doesn't really feel convincing. I don't like the follow through here. The problem is if the follow through was really strong up here, then I'd be concerned about the highs here. So it's just too tight, not offering a very appealing possibility. So I called it an almost trade and left it alone. Prices then continue moving up. So it breaks out and actually extend this yellow trading range from where the midline is, and I actually had a contact here, and luckily it looked like it fit pretty well on this midline, so it's like a two-tier channel. The new high, it's the first entry long pullback, second entry long, and then not really a higher low because it actually fell below, but I saw that it touched the EMA. Didn't really know what to make of it, but I had a hunch it was going to reverse back up, but that's not good enough for a trade. It's just a hunch. But I marked it because, with more studying, maybe I'll look at this, see a better reason why I had that hunch. Or that hunch could have been nothing more than a lucky hunch. So I can't read too much into it, but I marked it for my own notes just so I know next time if I see something like this, it's technically a higher low. Actually, it's not really a higher low, it's lower low, but it looks like it's attempting another move back up because it did kind of touch the EMA. Risk is about 10 ticks. Maybe it was worth it, maybe not. But again, I'm not smart enough to really justify a trade here. And as I said, there actually may not be anything here. Prices move up, move sideways, kind of moves down on this clear down channel. Here's a new low, first entry short, second entry short, second entry short failure. I call this kind of like a, well, it wasn't really a clean setup. It's more of a almost trade again, because it's an inside bar. You'd have to trust the strength of this yellow up channel that I eventually drew. The break of this yellow up channel has tested the high already, so asking for a second attempt up feels iffy. So it's an almost trade. It's just a setup, but there's nothing really there. Starts moving sideways. Now I see this. I see a new high, first entry long pullback, potential second entry long. There is a triple test. Now you have a clear second entry long triple test, makes a double bottom, closes at the high. EMA isn't super reliable, but you do have a triple test. Bottom of the range, break of this yellow up channel might want to test the highs again. So I thought it was a possible trade. I like that it was bounce off and it's inside a range, potential range, and it's a good signal bar. So I didn't really want to take it though. I will say, it's hard to see, but I had this purple channel. I'll color it in for now. Now I'm going to go ahead and delete it later. Or this green up channel. I saw it as maybe one touch, two touch, three touch, potentially a fourth touch, but it feels not very reliable. So I thought there was another justification to take that trade. So I thought it was an almost, well, actually, I thought it was an actual possible trade. I just didn't like it. There's also two legs down. Prices move up, hits the top of the range, comes back down. Now I have a clear multiple tests off this support. I'm clearly in a range. Breaking out of this purple up channel, it could be moving back in. New high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long. I call this also an almost trade. Signal bar itself is only three points, so it's about 12 ticks. Reasonable attempt to try to take it. I also thought, well, maybe there's a break this orange down channel, and it could try to test the low. But seeing as it's moving sideways, it had more reasons to go long for it than short. Although it's below the EMA, again, the EMA isn't super reliable, so I thought it was I thought it was a possible trade, but it's just a little more aggressive. So now I'm clearly in a range. I'm not sure this purple up channel. Let me just go ahead and let me actually just color this in for now, make life easier. So I was playing this purple at the time, and then later it evolves into this red. But the red doesn't exist right now, this transparent red. It's just moving sideways. I don't really see what's going on. It's getting tricky. There's this clear channel going down. It's a little shallow though. No clean second entries. Starts reversing back up. You have a new low. First entry short, pull back. Here it creates a second entry short. Now the second entry short is new low, first entry short, break of this green up channel, tests and makes a new high off of this signal bar. The fail breakout here creates a corresponding fail breakout here. This purple up channel, I'm not that concerned about now because if it was still in play, it's a break and it did test the high. So it could be coming back down. There's enough room to the EMA. The signal bar here is 12 ticks. Maybe worth a trade. It is aggressive though, but it has decent signal bar. In this case, it would have worked, but it wasn't a clean enough setup for me to feel comfortable with, so I left it alone. Then prices move up, move back into this purple technically, but at this time I was thinking, is there a potential red range here. Now I want to point out that it looked like there was one leg up, pull back, second leg up. This second leg was made here, which also gave me more confidence on going short here. Although I didn't take it, it's just like measured move is made, might have a small correction. And in this case, it would have made it. So again, I thought it was aggressive, kind of helps go reinforce this trade. Prices move down, first entry long, second entry long, not a good signal bar. Technically it's a third, the first, second, third. I mean, not really even a higher low because it made a double bottom here. Prices chop sideways, kind of creates a new high, and this is the pre-market high and pre-market lows. Something interesting is, after the Friday close, it dropped in the pre-market, so it created a gap in regular trading hours. And this took the whole day, though, to close the gap back up to here. So right here, at the end of the day, it finally closed the gap. It's just something interesting off of two measured legs. New high, first entry long, second entry long, bad signal bar. Just kind of waiting on my hands. It starts reversing. It's also getting close to the end of the day, so I'm really not looking for another trade now. So first entry long, 3 dojis in a row. That's hard to really navigate because you don't really know if the tug of war which way it's going to push. In this case, it pushes down, it reverses, kind of consolidates, kind of pushes back up. New low, it's a first entry short, second entry short above the EMA. You do have two legs here that I saw, but after watching the charts all day and seeing this kind of price action, I gotta admit my mind was kind of mentally fatigued. So I did kind of hang up my trading and thought, I got to be extra careful if I was even considering some kind of setup here because my read might be, pretty faulty. Prices then continue moving, and it kind of just moves into the close in the last 10 minutes. So it was a very, very choppy day. A lot of swings here and there, stuff that just felt like it was in setups that were in a very small window. And there was really no setup all day that I felt was super duper slam dunk, whether I took it or not. If it's the one trade I did take, I don't think it was a very good setup in hindsight either. So kind of I wouldn't say challenging day, but it did have me paying attention and watching, and it did get a little tiring. So hopefully that was helpful.